PUP dropped their new album. Who will look after the dogs? Question mark.
That's a phenomenal question.
It's a great question. Such a great question for such a mid album, respectfully. I don't know. I don't know. I have wanted to be into PUP for so long. I think ever since I was introduced to them, which was the podcast that got me into them, and also just our friend group at the time that like half of them like adored PUP. At
Yeah,
least that's how
more.
I'm remembering it. It could have
Yeah,
just been one person.
when Morbid Stuff came out, there was
Hmm.
one person. It was one person in particular that was
That's
so
what I
into
was.
pup that you would
Yeah,
have thought the entire group
it's
was.
terrible.
Yeah.
Because it was always in there.
Yes.
So I was like, this band must be fucking crazy,
Mhm.
right? But it's just with every release, and we've covered what, two of them so far? Three?
I
This is
think
the
so.
third one?
Something like that.
Something like that. Uh, it's just always kind of, there have been good tracks, but overall, it's always just kind of been a bit lackluster for me, I guess, which is a little harsh because obviously it's pop. So they're doing something that people are enjoying, and I guess I'm just not the target audience. Um, I don't know what it is, but it's just their music never does anything for me. It's just it always feels like low energy, which again is a vibe for some people, but in my head pup should be kind of on the more energetic side,
Mhm.
and I just never really get that in their albums. Which is I get, but I always set myself up. It's like how we think like Sleep Token should be like heavy as shit, and then you listen to it and you're like, what the fuck, this is pop. um it's like that with pup, where it's like I know what it's gonna sound like, but my expectations are still all the way over here. So I just need to adjust my expectations, which is fine, but even with my adjusted expectations, it's still not something I would listen to. So it's a lose-lose, you know? Um, I just didn't like the record. All that to say, I
Yeah,
wasn't the biggest
that's fair
fan.
enough.
Um, and it sucks because I want to like Pup, purely just for nostalgia. But can never. Maybe the next release.
Maybe the next one. Um, yeah, I thought the record was all right.
Mhm.
I'm not the biggest like pup fan either. But have been listening to them for a while. Like we mentioned, around the time that Morbid Stuff came out, and our friend group at the time was one person was
One
going
person.
crazy about Morbid Stuff. I checked it out, so I've been listening to pup
Exactly.
for a long time.
Like 5
Um,
years, yeah.
Yeah, I've always thought that they were cool. I respect what they do. I respect how big they are.
Hmm.
And I think that there's standout moments on this record. But for me, it did take a few listens to kind of come away with those standout moments. Which is definitely something I want to note. It wasn't on first listen being like, wow, there's this and this that I actually liked about the record. It took multiple listens to try to formulate an opinion that wasn't, I'm not sure that I have an opinion.
Hmm.
So I like the way it opens with No Hope. Olive Garden that's just a funny ass title to me. Honestly,
Shout
I
out
like
Olive
that.
Garden.
Shout out Olive Garden. Get Dumber featuring Jeff Rosenstock. That's just a match made in heaven. Those two bands, or those two artists together, Jeff Rosenstock and Pup. Just they're in the same scene. That's
Yeah,
that's a
same sort,
great
yeah.
feature pull for the album. One of my favorites on the record as well. I think my personal favorite is Paranoid. It was a single, and it was a single for a reason. It's a very strong song, and I dig that one a lot, as well as Hallways. And I like the way it closes with Shut Up. But
Hmm.
largely in part for me, it feels like there's, like I said, a few standout moments, and the rest kind of fall into the void of just kind of noise. And I think for me, it might be just Pup's production style has always been something that to me has kind of stuck out like a sore thumb.
Sore thumb, yeah. I
And
think
I
we mentioned that on the last record where it was like, this feels like it should not, like it should have been like 5 albums ago. This is how it should sound. But now it's like you're so in the scene and you're so big that it feels like your production style should kind of level up, but it never evolved. You know?
Yeah.
So
and,
sorry, yeah.
and
Sorry to
I
interrupt.
and I and I appreciate that. I understand it's their style, but it is not a kind of style that I gravitate towards.
There it is. Yeah.
There you go. So that I think is for me the overarching problem with Pup, but
Mhm.
I was able to, and part of why it took me multiple listens to kind of attempt to at least somewhat get this album. But at the end of the day, they're big for a reason. The band can write songs.
Exactly.
There are
Clearly write
phenomenal
songs.
songs throughout this album. Like I said, there are some that kind of fall void to just fall into the pot of just kind of sounding like noise to me. If it's not the strongest song, and then couple that with the production style that I'm not a huge fan of, can quickly get very muddied for me when I'm listening through. But No Hope, Olive Garden, funny ass song, but also very strong. Concrete, Get Dumber, like the first four songs are really strong. The album opens very well. Paranoid, Hallways, songs like that really are standouts for me on this album. So I didn't hate it. I wound up finding parts of the record that I overall enjoyed, and I
Yeah.
think that for me, it's just all right. Not an album
It's
I'm gonna come back to, but it's
that's
just
fair.
all right.